Have you ever caught yourself doing something and suddenly thought, wait, when did I become that person? Maybe it was a little too much grumbling in public, or talking to the TV like it can hear you. It's funny at first until you notice people around you giving that polite little smile, the one that says, that's awkward, but no one actually says it out loud. Let's be real. Aging brings a lot of wisdom, grace, and freedom. But it can also sneak in a few habits that, while completely human, make others around us a little uncomfortable. And the worst part, most of us don't even notice we're doing them. That's not because we've changed into someone else. It's because no one has ever really told us these things straight. It's all hush-hush, whispered or worse, silently judged. That's exactly why we're talking about it today. This isn't about shaming anyone. In fact, just the opposite. It's about awareness, dignity, and choosing how we want to show up in the world as we age. Because let's face it, getting older doesn't mean fading out or falling into habits that hold us back. It means learning how to keep growing, keep glowing, and stay socially connected in ways that feel good inside and out. So let's talk openly about 12 awkward habits that tend to show up more often in old age. Those unspoken things that others might notice, even if no one ever mentions them. And once we know them, we can do something about them. That's power. That's freedom. That's aging smart. Let's start with the first habit, and it might surprise you, talking loudly all the time. Now, this one's tricky because it often sneaks in without us noticing. Maybe your hearing isn't quite what it used to be. No, shame in that, it happens to all of us. But what usually follows is the gradual rise of our own speaking volume. We start talking louder at the dinner table, louder on the phone, louder in the grocery store. And before long, we're shouting about our pharmacy prescription within earshot of the entire checkout line. It's not that anyone means to overshare. It's just that we don't realize how loud we're being. But from the outside, it can come across as intrusive or even embarrassing. The solution? It's simple, but it takes mindfulness. Every so often, check your volume. Watch how others react when you speak. Are they leaning away, glancing around? That might be a sign. And don't hesitate to ask a loved one gently, hey, am I talking too loud? It's a small change that can make a big difference in how others engage with you. Now let's move on to something a bit more physical. Neglecting personal grooming. This one is deeply personal and deeply uncomfortable to bring up, but it matters. As we age, some daily habits become harder. Maybe you skip shaving for a week or two. Maybe trimming your nails or styling your hair just doesn't feel worth the effort anymore. But here's the thing. People notice, and whether it's fair or not, they often make assumptions about our health, our independence, even our self-respect, based on how we present ourselves. This isn't about vanity. It's about showing yourself the same care and attention you deserve, because you're still you. A little effort each day, brushing your teeth, putting on fresh clothes, combing your hair, signals to the world and to yourself that you're still in the game, and if some tasks are getting physically hard, that's okay. It might be time to get a little help. A mobile barber, a trusted friend, even simple tools that make grooming easier. These small adjustments protect your dignity and help you stay connected socially. You'd be amazed how much confidence comes back with a fresh shave or a clean shirt. And speaking of things that affect how others feel around us, there's another habit that needs some gentle attention. Oversharing personal or medical details with strangers or even casual acquaintances. Now don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with opening up. We need connection. We need to be heard. But sometimes, when loneliness creeps in or conversation doesn't flow as easily, we may start unloading details that make others feel a little trapped. It might start with a simple, "My knees have been awful lately," and before long it turns into, "They drained my joint fluid twice last month and you wouldn't believe the smell." And suddenly, the nice lady in line at the bakery is praying for a fire drill. The problem isn't the story, It's the timing and the setting. Deep conversations belong in deep relationships. If we find ourselves turning every casual chat into a personal health report, it might be a sign we're craving connection in other ways. What helps here is having someone you can talk to, someone who really wants to listen. A close friend, a support group, a therapist, or even journaling can provide that outlet so you don't end up scaring off your neighbor just for saying good morning. The goal is to stay open, not overwhelming. You see, these habits aren't about being bad or wrong. They're just little signals, flags that something might need a little attention, a little love, or a small change. And noticing them, that's the first step toward feeling more confident, more in control, and more connected in the world around us. Let's keep this conversation going because there's more to uncover. And each step we take builds a life that feels better, not just for us, but for everyone we connect with. Now that we've opened the door to this conversation, it gets a little easier, doesn't it? When we realize these habits are just part of being human and not some kind of personal flaw, we can talk about them without shame. So let's keep going. Another habit that can quietly creep in, and this one really does catch people off guard, is interrupting or dominating conversations. You might be thinking, I've always been a talker, what's the problem? And truly, being expressive and having stories to share is a gift. But what often happens as we get older is that we stop noticing when others aren't getting a word in. Maybe our patience wears thinner, or maybe we just feel like we've heard it all before and want to get to the point. But here's the thing, people of all ages, especially younger ones, feel most valued when they're heard. And when we constantly interrupt or finish someone's sentence, they start to feel invisible. Even if we don't mean to, it can come off as dismissive, like we're not really interested in what they have to say. So the next time you're in a conversation, try something simple. Pause before speaking. Really listen. Let the other person finish their thought completely. If you feel that urge to jump in, take a breath and count to 2. It might feel awkward at first, but you'll be amazed at how much more others will open up to you when they feel heard. And in return, when it's your turn to speak, they'll really listen. Let's talk about another habit that's a little more physical but very common as the years go by, neglecting posture and body language. This one's tricky because it doesn't just affect how people see us, it actually affects how we feel too. Over time, many people start to stoop their shoulders, avoid eye contact, or shuffle their feet. Not always because of pain or injury, but often just out of habit or low energy. Here's what people don't say out loud. Body language speaks volumes. When someone walks into a room standing tall, shoulders back, with a small smile on their face, they light up the space. But when someone looks down at the floor, avoids looking at others, or walks as if they're trying to disappear, it creates a different kind of presence. People may assume you're sad, grumpy, or not approachable, even if you're not. But good news, posture is one of the easiest things to work on once you're aware of it. Throughout the day, take a few moments to check in with your body. Are your shoulders slouching? Are you holding tension in your neck or face? Try rolling your shoulders back, lifting your chest just slightly, and lifting your gaze. Even standing up and stretching once an hour can reset your energy and how you carry yourself. These small shifts can help you feel stronger, more grounded, and more confident, and that shines through no matter your age. Now, here's one that's a little more delicate, but we need to say it. Complaining too often, especially about the good old days. It's completely understandable to feel nostalgic. We've lived through decades of change, some of it for the better, some of it downright baffling. But when every conversation turns into a rant about how things used to be better, it can start to weigh people down. Younger people especially might start to pull away, thinking they're always so negative, even if you're just trying to share your experience. The challenge is that constant complaining, even if it feels justified, creates distance. It can make others feel like they'll never measure up, or like the present day, has nothing good to offer. And let's be honest, who wants to sit with someone who's always unhappy? What helps is finding a way to share your memories or frustrations without letting them dominate your interactions. Instead of saying, "Everything was better back then," try something like, I loved how people used to take time to write letters. It felt so personal. But I do enjoy how easy it is to video chat with my grandkids now." That way, you're honoring the past without dismissing the present. You're showing that you still have curiosity, that you're still engaged, and that's magnetic. And while we're on that topic, let's not forget how much joy and lightness we still bring into every space. That doesn't come from pretending everything's perfect. It comes from choosing to focus on what we can control. Our attitude, our presence, our kindness. Those things don't fade with time. In fact, they grow stronger when we use them. When you begin to notice how these little habits affect your interactions, how they shape the way others feel around you, you start to see opportunities, not problems. And that's where the real transformation begins, not by becoming someone else, but by showing up as the best version of yourself, the one who listens deeply, the one who walks with intention, the one who remembers that grace and humor go a long way. We've already come so far in recognizing some of these awkward habits, and more importantly, why they happen. And what makes all the difference is that you're here. You're watching, listening, and reflecting. That's rare. That's brave. Most people don't take the time to look inward, but you are, and that says a lot about you. Let's keep going, because this conversation matters. When we become more aware of how we're showing up, it's not just about avoiding awkward habits, it's about choosing to age with confidence and connection. That's what we all want, isn't it? To feel seen, heard, and respected. Now here's a habit that many people fall into without even realizing it, repeating the same stories over and over. Look, when you've lived a long life, you've got amazing stories. You've experienced things most people today can't even imagine. But what tends to happen is that certain memories become our go-to stories. Maybe because they're funny or meaningful, or we just enjoy telling them. And sometimes we don't even realize that we've already shared that story 3 times this week. It's a habit that often grows from a desire to connect. But from the outside, when the same story keeps coming up, it can feel like the conversation is stuck, or like the listener's not really being invited in. And people, especially younger ones, might start to tune out. One simple way to shift this is to bring curiosity back into the conversation. Instead of diving into another retelling, try asking, "Has that ever happened to you?" Or, "What's your take on that?" You still get to share your story, but you also invite others into the dialogue. And if you catch yourself telling the same story again, it's okay to laugh about it. "Oh no, did I tell you this one already?" Humor and self-awareness go a long way in making others feel comfortable. That brings us to another silent signal that people often pick up on, even if they don't say it out loud: giving unsolicited advice too often. This one comes from a good place, wisdom, experience, and a desire to help. But there's a fine line between offering guidance and making someone feel judged or criticized. You might say something like, "You really should eat healthier," or "You're doing that," all wrong, thinking you're being helpful. But the other person may hear it as, "I don't trust your judgment," or "You don't know what you're doing." Even with family and close friends, this habit can create distance instead of connection. A better approach? Wait for the invitation. Let someone finish their thought, then say something like, "Would you like a suggestion?" Or "Here's what worked for me," in case it helps. Giving people a choice changes everything. It shows respect. It shows you believe in them. And believe it or not, they're more likely to take your advice when they don't feel pushed into it. Now let's talk about something a bit heavier, but no less important: letting bitterness or resentment take root. Life gives us all reasons to feel hurt, to feel disappointed, even angry. And as the years pass, if we're not careful, those feelings can build up like layers of dust, barely noticeable at first, but slowly clouding everything. Sometimes we hold on to old betrayals, regrets, or missed chances, and they show up in our tone, in our words, in the way we look at the world. People can feel it, even if we never say a word. That quiet bitterness can make others feel uncomfortable or even unsafe, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they sense the weight we're carrying. Here's the truth: we don't need to pretend everything's fine. But holding on to pain doesn't protect us. It isolates us. Forgiveness, letting go, choosing peace. These aren't just spiritual ideas. They're real, practical tools for healing. Sometimes that means talking to someone. Sometimes it's writing a letter you never send. Sometimes it's simply deciding that you're not going to let the past control how you feel today. Releasing bitterness isn't about excusing what happened. It's about choosing joy, choosing freedom. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel and how much more people want to be around you. And that brings us to the final, perhaps most heartbreaking habit: withdrawing from social life and giving up on new connections. So many older adults start to believe the lie that they're no longer interesting, that they have nothing to contribute, that their time of making friends or having fun is somehow behind them. And so, slowly, they begin to pull back, decline invitations, avoid phone calls, stop reaching out. What people don't always realize is that isolation doesn't just affect our emotions, it affects our physical health too. Loneliness can be as damaging as smoking or obesity, but the good news is it doesn't have to be that way. It's never too late to connect, to reach out, to find a new group, a new class, a new purpose. Whether it's a weekly coffee with a neighbor, a local walking group, a book club, or just chatting with someone in line at the market, connection keeps us alive, literally and spiritually. If you found yourself pulling away from people, ask yourself this: when was the last time I made someone smile? Then make it your mission to do it today. You'd be surprised how just one small conversation can change your whole outlook and theirs. So let's take a breath together. We've gone through a lot, but not to point fingers or feel ashamed. Quite the opposite. These habits, they're just little bumps along the road of aging. And now that we've named them, we can navigate around them with kindness, with humor, with grace. Remember, small changes can make a big difference. You don't have to overhaul your life. Just pick one thing that resonated with you. Maybe it's standing up a little straighter. Maybe it's letting someone else talk a little longer. Maybe it's forgiving something that's been heavy on your heart for too long. Whatever it is, you're not alone. So many people are walking this same path, quietly wondering the same things. And when we talk about it openly, when we support each other, we don't just age, we grow, we thrive. If any of this connected with you today, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What habit surprised you? What changes are you thinking about making? Let's keep this space honest and supportive. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder that they're not alone. By the way, you can grab your free PDF guide by clicking the link in the description. Below, it's completely free, and you are not fading, you're evolving, you are not being forgotten, you are still needed. Your voice matters, your presence matters. Keep showing up, keep growing, and keep shining.